Wait.
Hi.
Oh. Hey!
Hey, how are
All
you?
right. I did the 20-second one. I'll actually have to fix that. Hi, everybody, and welcome to our special Wednesday edition of Geek Spot News. Thank you all for showing up. And for those of you that have not shown up, please make sure that you go to the YouTube page, the podcast page, the Facebook page, Spotify, Apple, anywhere you get your podcast. Like, subscribe. The more you guys like and subscribe, the more it pushes us up and is visible to more people and makes us super happy.
Exactly.
I didn't even practice that. That was off the cuff, dude.
Well done. It feels like you've been doing this almost 100 episodes.
I did 95 episodes. I listened a little bit more Talkville today, so I was in I have it in my head. I have the, while I'm building the Legos and watching the Talkville.
Nice.
How's things with you since last we spoke? Over a week ago now.
I know, it's crazy. Yeah, so I was busy Monday. There was an all district band thing that my kids had for the jazz band, so I had to go to that Monday. So we didn't get to talk about episode 7 of that show that hopefully, everybody's watched the finale. If you haven't watched the finale, pause this, go watch the Mandalorian finale and come back. Or just pick up the podcast, which you can get a Spotify, Google Play, Apple, iTunes, anywhere you want. Just drop us a rating when you do it. A little 5-star rating would be great. Write a review if you want. And, that's out of the way at the start of the show. So, I did that. I had a gig, I think. I don't even remember. It's been a really long couple weeks at work. But I'm going away next week. Yeah. So I won't be here for next Monday's show. So I wanted to get one in between and make sure we could talk the finale. So kind of pushed off for a day or two, and then we're going a little early. So I'm excited we can do that. I was in Tony's in Ivyland last week, which was a blast. And then I had a chance to watch some stuff too, because Titans came back. So I know Charles in the chat is a fan of Titans.
TV.
It's so good. After watching those Arrowverse shows, and they're on hiatus, thankfully, that after watching those for the last couple weeks again, it was so refreshing to have Titans, and just the acting is such a better level, and even the writing's great. They did this really cool,
I forgot my scarf,
spin-off, which was they're in a town that's out of time but kind of possessed, and followers of Trigon, and what do they do? And they're starting to lose their memories and lose themselves, and how do they pull themselves back? And some people are in the real world, some are stuck there. It's great writing. I'm really disappointed that the show's in its final half of its final season now. But that's back on HBO Max, and they dropped 2 episodes last week, and then every Friday, I think, we'll get a new episode for the next 6 weeks or so.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then you can binge the whole thing, Frank, and give us a recap.
Well, I'm going to need stuff to watch soon.
How about you? Did you go anywhere exciting? Do anything?
Nah, it's boring. No, so I, it's my new scarf. My scarf. I went to a wedding Saturday.
Oh, very nice.
A friend of ours, Mike Jansen and Jackie Canducci, got married up at the Normandy in Bluebell.
Oh, all right.
Little posh little dig that was.
I played a wedding there once, I think.
I think I did too. I could probably throw a rock and hit places that I've actually been at weddings, thanks to the band.
That's true.
Yeah. It was a really nice thing. A lot of the people from our scene, the cover band scene, were there. A lot of friends that I haven't seen in a while. Some that I see all the time. Funny thing was, the after party was at a hotel about a half mile away, right? And they had a little spread of food. So I went for a little while. I wasn't really drinking a lot. It was, Bluebell. I didn't get a room. I didn't want to really do the whole drinking thing. So the spread of food, this is to tell you that these are Delco/Philly people. The food there were half-size hot dogs in buns. Okay. Tater tots.
Mm-hmm.
Tater tots.
Yep.
Chicken nuggets. and Philly pretzel, like long Philly pretzel bites.
So okay, that's cool. That's
It was the kids menu. It was
look.
so. You know what?
Yeah,
It was
you don't need
so
to go.
awesome.
You don't have to go bougie for that kind of stuff.
No. You know what though? And it was the most. I mean, the dinner was wonderful. I had a fillet. It was great. The band was great. The Giuliano brothers played, and then they did a set. And then after the Giuliano brothers played, these are for all the local people will understand these references. Then it was like cover band palooza.
Yeah.
Um, all the different people from all the different bands that were there came up and did a song or so. I did not, as I am not in
You
it.
do Africa? Come on,
No,
man.
no. Um, I aside from that, it's just been the Lego Star Destroyer is consuming my time.
Yeah, it looks you made a lot of progress. It's
I
it's amazing every couple hours when you send me how much work you put into that.
Yeah, it's like this one is it's really big, but it's hollow. It was like the frame, and then there's the bottom piece, and then another bottom piece, and then the top pieces, and then
Gotcha.
and it's very hollow. Like the Falcon and the inside took a couple weeks to do a little bit at a time because it's really detailed inside.
Yeah,
This is like an empty inside, but I think it's 3 feet long. It's
gotcha.
massive.
Got
And as far as watching stuff, I'm catching up on. I just got to the Dominion War in Deep Space Nine, so I'm catching up on that.
Okay.
And
Heard of it,
now,
I think, maybe.
huh?
I've
No,
heard of it,
that's
I
yeah.
guess.
No, that was in the 90s.
Got it.
No, I mean aside from Mandalorian and Ted Lasso today, and Picard, which I want to mention in a couple minutes when I get down to the Star Trek part of the news that I have here.
Very nice. I'm behind on one of those things. Oh, Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso.
Okay.
I'm not cut up on. I watched The Mandalorian at like 6 o'clock this morning, and then I left for work. So,
I figured you watched it early by the text. Hey to
uh,
Charles, hey to Dylan. Real fast, Dylan is excited for Evil Dead Rise tomorrow,
I can't wait. It's
and
gonna be so much fun.
he saw Renfield last week and said it was enjoyable. That's one I want to catch if I can. It looks like a fun movie.
Yeah, it looks like it did not do great in the box
No,
office, but it does
no.
look fun. I also just saw. I did manage to watch. I finally watched Scream 5, so I can watch Scream 6 finally.
Oh, good. I didn't
Scream
know.
5 was a blast. It was everything I expected it to be, which was just a Scream movie.
So I won't spoil Ted Lasso, and I will tell you that it was another one of those episodes about an hour and 6 minutes long.
Wow.
And it definitely drug in parts, but it got to a point where now I can see how they're going to get to the end of the season.
Well, there's only 2 episodes left, right?
2 or 3, maybe 2.
It's only 8.
Yeah. Then there's only 2. So they really did tie some stuff in, and they really did kind of point towards the end here a little bit. So you'll see.
Cool. And Charles says he's also rewatching Grimm, which if you didn't watch Grimm, super cool take on all of the fairy tales from back in the day. It's based on all the Grimm's fairy tales, and they were monster hunters. And the lead character, who's now on a Million Little Things or Million Reasons Why or Million Little Things, one of those shows. And the wife from it is Lois in Superman and Lois.
Oh,
Bitsy Tulloch.
Bitsy. Yeah.
But it was fantastic. Like, so it was the Grimms, the storytellers were like monster hunters back in the day, and he's a descendant, so he can see monsters in the world that nobody else can.
Okay.
It was a cool concept. It was a great show. It was well done. I think we ran for like 4 or 5 seasons.
I remember seeing
It was a Friday night NBC show though, so
right.
like
Right.
I think it led into Constantine one time for a couple months. And yeah, Dylan Jack Quaid was fantastic in Scream. I didn't even know he was in it until I started watching. I was like, oh, look at this cast.
Oh. Do you remember there's a show on CBS started back in 2003 called 2.5 Men?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember the really awful falling out that Chuck Lorre and Charlie Sheen had?
I do, and in the finale for the character, just to make sure he got his last say, Chuck Lorre literally dropped a piano on
Right.
on the Charlie character when he came back.
Right. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because Deadline is now reporting that Charlie Sheen has been cast in Chuck Lorre's next show. They're going
I
to
saw
reunite
that today.
for a
That's
new,
crazy.
right. They're going to reunite for a new comedy show called How to Be a Bookie for Max. Ugh,
You know what? It's going to be great.
it is. It's going to be written by Chuck Lorre and Nick Bakay, stars Sebastian Maniscalco as a
Uh,
veteran bookie who
uh,
struggles to survive the impending legalization of sports gambling.
I guess we'll see if he can act.
Charlie Sheen is going to have a recurring role. So that's an interesting little tidbit.
Do you know Chuck Lorre's real claim to fame? Not being the creator of thousands of TV shows that everybody loves.
No, what else does he do?
He wrote and sang the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme song.
Stop it,
That
really?
is him saying "Heroes in a Half Shell" from the '80s.
Wow.
He was on, I believe it was whatever Hardwick's before it was ID10T.
Okay, I remember the
whatever his podcast used to be before that.
right.
Nerd something, Nerdist.
Nerdist.
But he did an interview with Chuck Lorre, and they were talking about that one time. It was fascinating.
Wow. Now that I didn't know.
Yeah, he and his buddy, his writing partner, they were like, "You need a theme song by like tomorrow." They're like, "Okay," and they just made it up. And we're like, "This is never going to go anywhere."
And it did.
Next thing you know, 40 years later, it's still everybody can sing it.
There's a lot of new TV shows on the horizon here. I'm gonna nick off a couple of them as we go along here. There's the Hollywood Reporter is saying that Lionsgate is in early development on a serious version of Twilight.
Mm.
Yep.
Nothing about that sounds good.
No. That's one. There's the Galaxy Quest TV show in early development at Paramount Plus, following a failed attempt in 2015.
I think it's a little too late for. I love the movie.
So do I.
Love the movie.
So do I.
And I think you could still. I don't know if they're getting any of the original cast or where they're going to go with it.
Yeah, I don't know. There is rumors of a Rocky TV show from Sylvester Stallone. Somehow is still a possibility.
I bet he has the TV rights, but not the movie rights. So he's like, "How can I make money off this now?"
Yeah, so he signed a deal with Amazon Studios for film and TV projects. It's kind of open-ended with that.
Yeah.
Good for him if it works, you know? And Amazon, oh boy, man. Here's Amazon's MGM plans. They're looking at 12 plus MGM franchises for movies and TV. And the two big ones at the top of the list right now are RoboCop and Stargate.
I mean, you were a Stargate fan. Would you hate a reboot?
I think a reboot I think a reboot might work because the technology is better now than it was then, and they'll be able to do some things that they couldn't do.
If they have a budget, because
I mean, Amazon.
If you want to see some bad modern technology, special effects usage, there's the show The Flash.
Oh yeah, I'll let you dive into that in a couple minutes.
Oh, no, we're good. We don't have anything for The Flash.
Oh, good.
I don't think it was new last week either. Was it?
I don't.
I think we talked about it was another time loop. I feel like that was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was. I think I have to catch up on that.
Speaking of stuff that's dropping on streaming services, new there is a talk, because we've talked about it on here before, about a new Psych movie. They are going to do a fourth Psych movie, which I can't wait for.
Yes.
And there is rumor that they are going to do a Monk movie to wrap up all of the Monk storyline, also on Peacock.
Oh,
so that's actually pretty exciting. That was a great show.
It's amazing what these, like, Paramount Plus is now starting to kick stuff out. We got a teaser trailer for Strange New Worlds today. It's coming June 15th. I'm very excited for that. Paul Wesley's James Kirk will have a larger role this season.
Paul Wesley
was in the Vampire Diaries. Actually,
got it.
Paul Wesley was actually in the episode of Talkville that I watched today as Lex's younger brother. Remember that episode? Back when Lionel...
Wait, he was the little kid?
Not the little kid. He was his younger brother, as in like same age-ish, kind of.
Oh, I didn't. I thought that he didn't make it. So okay.
No, 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 no. He did. So that was
Oh,
the
they retconned that at some point.
yeah. Remember the episode where Lionel was blind and he threw the cue ball at him and he ducked because
Yeah.
he had still the dark glasses on and it was revealed that he could see and yeah. Um, what I was going to say about that real fast before I go back to the Star Trek news is as watching Talkville, I'm watching the cuts in the conversations or I'm hearing them and I can hear how quick they're cutting some of the stuff that Tom Welling's saying. And he's talking about stuff and then it cuts real fast and goes back to Michael Rosenbaum.
Mm,
It's some of the cuts are bad.
yeah.
Like
I'm about 2 months behind on that show just because they're so long.
they are. I don't watch all of it. I usually get up through maybe the Patreon listener questions.
Gotcha.
Um the things that I do like about that are the guests when they have guests and when he calls Al Goff like
Yeah.
right there and
Because
Al
Dalgoff is
answers.
great.
Right. And he answers and he gives them the answers to the questions because like, why the hell did you guys do this? This sounds dumb. And then Al Goff explains it and he goes, okay, so it's not dumb. There's a reason. And
Yeah.
it like we understand it because we have seen the whole show. These are two gentlemen that have not watched their whole show at all.
Never.
Right.
I'm sure that Lex's or what's his name, Rosenbaum's never seen the last 3 seasons of the show.
I doubt no way. And Tom watches it usually the day taping. He'll be watching the show as they're taping.
Yeah, great.
It's hilarious. Back to the Star Trek stuff. There is a Star Trek movie starring Michelle Yeoh that was greenlit called Section 31. It was supposed to be a TV series. They're going to make it a movie. So Michelle Yeoh was in Star Trek Discovery in the first season.
Yeah, so this was supposed to happen years ago now,
Yes,
right?
this is a couple years ago. So
And then all of a sudden they realized, oh, we can make a movie around Michelle Yeoh because she just won an Oscar. Do it. Go.
right.
Yeah.
They drug their feet. Yeah, this was all the way back to 2017. So they drug their feet enough that now they can.
You know what my hope with that is that she got paid for it
Oh, she's
instead.
definitely going to get paid because Star Trek's not really doing a lot, right? Well, now they are. They're starting to do a lot more stuff.
No, I'm just saying now you have
Oh
Oscar
yeah.
winner Michelle Yeoh
Oh,
versus this
absolutely.
Michelle Yeoh that has done some stuff and was in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, you know.
Absolutely. So real fast, the last episode of Star Trek Picard, the episode coming out on Thursday, the 20th of April, is the finale. This is the series finale of Picard. The name of the episode is called The Last Generation.
Oh.
Okay. In the last episode, the entire original crew of the Enterprise, as I had mentioned before, was back together again. They were in trouble. They had no ship.
Were there tribbles?
No,
Oh.
no. So they got into a shuttle and they sped off back to the Star Trek Museum or the Starfleet Museum.
Yeah, it'd be weird if it was a Star Trek.
And they were approaching this Hangar Bay 12. And earlier in the show, Geordi had said that he had a surprise in Hangar 12, or his daughter had mentioned, why don't we use what's in Hangar 12? And it was like, what are they doing? What are they talking about? And here's the whole crew, the picture of them in the window of the shuttle.
Yeah.
As it approaches Hangar 12. Hangar 12 opens up and the lights come on. It's their Enterprise. It's the Enterprise D from the Next Generation that should have been destroyed. Now, in the movie Generations, that was the ship that could separate. The saucer section
Right.
could come off.
Yep.
And it crashed on a planet called Viridian 3. This is all off memory, not off reading, by the way. It's how much of a nerd I am for this. So the saucer crashed on Viridian 3. Well, they recovered that because of the Prime Directive. And Geordi, for the last 20 years, has been restoring the Enterprise D. So what happened in the last episode was the Borg. So the changelings are in the changelings are the big bad, right? That's what you think? No, the Borg are behind the changelings now.
Got it.
So the changelings are using all the transporters to put this Borg DNA into the transporter systems. Basically, what happens is for Frontier Day, which is their big celebration of, the founding of Starfleet, all the ships linked together to do these formations, and the Borg took over and now took over the entire fleet of every starship at Earth.
Wow.
Right. So this is a little bit kind of like the Battlestar Galactica plot line where they're all networked in
Yep.
together and the original Galactica doesn't network. So they go back to the Enterprise D and it's not part of the network, the new network.
Yeah.
So the big moment is that, the bridge door opens up and Geordi says, computer lights on, and it's the original computer's voice. It's Majel Barrett's voice. Computer, stop. That's my Alexa again. It's her voice. And so I was reading, it took them 4 months to recreate the bridge set of the Enterprise D.
Wow.
And they went back and they made sure to talk to what's the guy's name? The guy that created Michael and Denise Okuda. Michael Okuda is the guy that actually created, I believe, the Klingon language, like the Klingon dictionary, and that's how you can take classes of it now in universities,
Right.
which is weird.
It is.
It is. But it took 4 months for them to make sure that they got all the panels right and that they got everything to match up from the day one to now. And seeing them all on the bridge and all at their original positions and all that was one of those get choked up moments if you're into that kind of thing. So this finale for the show airs on
Thursday. Tomorrow, you said.
yeah, tomorrow. And Star Trek is now going to do a Star Trek streaming movie every 2 years going forward. So that's good if you're a Star Trek fan.
That's great.
Yeah. I'm gonna jump over to the Marvel stuff real fast, just because I got a couple things here. So, excuse me. There's the seriousness of this part is the Jonathan Majors thing. So Jonathan Majors has been dropped by his manager and his PR team so far.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Majors.
And one movie role. So the Army had ads with him and they pulled their ads with him. And there were a couple other things that he's had that are being pulled, but he lost his first movie that he was supposed to star in. It was what was the movie? It was a movie called The Man in My Basement.
Yeah, I heard that. That's what hadn't started filming or anything yet. They did also.
The Texas Rangers dropped him from an ad campaign.
Yep.
And he was supposed to be Otis Redding in a biopic about Otis Redding that he was dropped from also.
So you got to wonder, right? If his management and agent maybe they spent all this time just going, we're going to cover this up and nobody will find out and we'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be good. We'll be good. We'll be good. And then this little bit came out and it got swept back under the rug fairly quickly. But now people keep being like, oh, we're out because it's going to get bad.
Right. So, but Marvel allegedly isn't having any conversations yet about replacing him. But then I've seen there's an actor that they have kind of in the wings to replace him. And the court date for all this is May 8th. So it's about 2 weeks away. And, he's proclaiming...
The thing I don't understand is she dropped the charges, so why is there still a court date?
Well, that's just what it is. I don't know. Is it one of those things where because she filed it, they ran with it, and even though she said, "Oh no, I wasn't," they still have to go through with it
because she might be being coerced or something. Yeah, it's possible.
Right. I hope that this is all not an issue for him. Like the way the Johnny Depp thing came out years later, I hope it works faster for him, and I hope that this is something that isn't. I hope it's not true. Is what I'm.
Me too. I don't know what from franchise standpoints they do, and look, Adrian Peterson still played football for years, and everybody still cheered for him, right? Like all this, this is no more money than the NFL makes, honestly. Even though we're talking billions of dollars, it's so it's not like there's no precedent for it for people to be kind of scummy human beings and still get paid a lot of money and still do their thing,
right?
Ezra still has the Flash movie coming out, and is still
Correct.
has another movie coming out,
Correct.
like this week or next week. And I don't know about press or anything, but we already have Loki season 2 in the bag from Jonathan Majors.
Right.
Um,
I
that
mean,
I
they can
all that
always.
happens is what we push it back again, and they refilm stuff, but that's a lot to refilm.
It depends on how
It's
much.
easy enough to explain away.
Sure. Oh yeah, yeah. With the multiverse thing and the way the Council of Kang, you can totally explain that away. Um, Speaking of Kang, there's another hot rumor coming around about who Reed Richards is going to be played by
Yeah, I saw that.
Adam Driver. I'm not sure how I feel about that, and maybe that's because I still have the Kylo Ren taste in my mouth. And I
Yeah,
think,
he's been great in some other things, but I don't know if he can pull off that.
shit.
No, I think he could pull off that vibe. But
Yeah.
I don't know where he would do with because I don't know if there'd be humor. I feel like Reed Richards will get played pretty straight, but Marvel's been in this tack where they have to imply humor into everything.
Oh,
So I don't know how he'll do with that and bouncing back and forth, because he plays straight and awkward really, really well.
right.
But I don't know how well he'll do with more comedic stuff
Give me a second.
that's not ironic.
I kicked the cord out on my other monitor.
Gotcha. Oh, here goes Frank.
Yep.
Here he goes. He's going. We'll
I'm still here. I'm just not.
we'll hide him for a minute so we don't have to watch him going. Right? Good. Oh, Scott. Hey, how's it going? Yeah. Good soup. I'm thinking back to him in Marriage Story, which he was great in, and we saw a little bit of a different side of him. And I hope that he can bring some of that energy to it, but I guess we'll have to wait and see if he comes to Marvel Land and how that all works out for us.
There we go.
All fixed.
All fixed. Yeah, I stretched a leg and kicked the thing that I shouldn't have
It
kicked.
happens.
It does. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Also, what's his name here? Joe Russo has made a big statement about out to people, basically saying to have faith in the story arcs and the storytelling of Phase 5. It's like, just be patient with it and have faith. I don't know how I feel about that. Thank you, Dylan. I knew somebody would get it.
Joe Russo, like from the Russo brothers?
From the Russo brothers, yes.
So I guess he knows
He
the
must know
end.
something. There's a long, long, long quote that I'm not reading because we don't need that.
Yeah.
And the last thing, I mean, that, I guess, he must know something, or he's just throwing his, faith into Kevin Feige knows what he's doing. Just be patient. Which, after the last phase,
There's only so patient people can really be for that stuff at this point. I mean, look, we'll all watch it all, but
absolutely,
you get desensitized to it, right? Like you stop caring and you're just watching it to watch it.
yep.
Much like The Flash on the CW on Wednesday nights.
Which I'm going to go to the Flash in a second. But, the Marvels, the trailer came out last week.
Oh yeah, we didn't get to talk about that. It looks great.
It's the most disliked trailer of a Marvel movie ever.
What?
That's because everybody hates Brie Larson.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Still,
it looks like it looks like a blast.
They were.
It looks like everything I expected the Ant-Man movie to be.
They were crapping on the costume changes and how their costumes are different from. I don't care that the costumes are different. The movie looks fun.
Yeah, the movie looks like it's going to be a blast.
It does. It looks like it's going to be awesome. No, and they weren't fans of it. Well, there were a lot of people that weren't fans of the TV series. I thought it was one of the. I think I ranked it in my top 3. I
enjoyed Miss Marvel a lot. The acting was really well done, and I think the character will be fine. Like, we need something. We need that that audience piece, right? Like, hey, who am I playing in this? Because we don't get that in the Marvel movies anymore, right? We're at the point now where we're at. Thanks, Pete. We're at the point now where we've got all this, all these characters we're embedded with and just we've lived with for all these years now. But like we no longer, if you're not one of us that's been watching Marvel for 15 years, you no longer have an entry point.
Right.
Right. So like Miss Marvel is the new entry point where she's like, oh my God, this is so cool. I'm hanging out with superheroes. This is great. Who are
Right.
you? Where's I got her picture on my wall. This is you know what I mean? Like it's
I
that
I thought it was a super well done show, and I'm excited to see that carried over into the movies.
um yeah, look, and I don't see this as any different than Avengers lineups back in the day. My Avengers in the 90s, the leader of the Avengers was Captain Marvel, who was Monica Rambeau,
Right.
and Cersei was on the team. Like if you put together they're most all of the 90s Avengers live in the MCU now. Like you had Dane Whitman, the Black Knight was there. You had Cersei, you had Gilgamesh
Yep.
was part of them. You had like I said, you had Carol, not Carol Danvers, but the other Captain Marvel, who's now Photon or whatever they're calling her.
Do you before we go off this, do you think that had they had the rights to the Fox properties when this all started, do you think we would have gotten the Iron Man and the
No,
Captain America the way we did, or do you think they would have gone and jumped right into Fantastic Four X-Men stuff?
I think you would have gotten Captain America early on. I
Right.
don't think you would have gotten Iron Man.
No, not until they got to this whole Civil War thing, right? Because it's
No, and well, Civil War wouldn't have looked the same at all because you would have
no.
had the X-Men, right?
Right, right,
You would
right.
have gone through a lot more Mutant Registration Act things, I think, first, and that would have played across the board, and you would have been able, and you would have pulled in. I think that you would have had the Avengers as an existing group already, and just tagged them in,
Do you
and then
think
had like Beast move over to them because in the comics, Beast has actually been in every superhero group. Like from the X-Men, Angel, Iceman, and Beast were the original Defenders. They were also
right.
in this group called the Champions with Hercules back in the 70s. That was another one they tried to go to. And the Avengers, Beast was in and out of the Avengers multiple times.
Do you think it would have been better, or what
Um,
we got was I mean, what we got was good, but do you think it would have been better had they had those properties to start?
so I don't know if better would have been the right word because I don't know they would have done things a lot different than Fox did up to that point,
Right.
right? Because Fox actually did pretty well with their X-Men universe until they decided to start rebooting things. So they're like, oh well, these guys are all getting old. What do we do? Um, because they didn't start young enough. But I don't know that the stories would have been a whole lot different because Kevin Feige was actually involved in all those original X-Men movies.
Was he?
That was his gig. He was a producer on all those before he came over to Marvel. That's where he got the pedigree
I see. Okay.
to come to Marvel. I think if they would have had Spider-Man,
That
it
definitely
would have
was.
been different, right? Because that character has always been one of the most popular characters. And that's exactly for the reason of like he's the guy that you put yourself in. He's a normal guy that got bit by a spider and had to go figure shit out. Right. So how does that work? And what would you do in that situation? And that's where Spider-Man's that like everyman
Right.
persona where he's your entryway into that universe, right?
Yep.
And that's what I'm saying. I think with the Marvels here, you get that again because Monica, not Monica, who do we have here? Marsha,
Marsha.
right? Is
Marsha.
one of those where she's not truly a part of this because she was blipped.
Right.
Right. So and then she went and worked for Nick Fury, and obviously Kamala is the same way. She's your entryway into this world, and hopefully the ongoing Phase 5, we get a little more awe and interest and stop this bleak crap that we started with Phase 4. Like nobody
Yeah.
wants to go to the movies to just watch the world
No.
end every freaking movie.
And that's part of why I think the Marvels is going to be a better movie because it's going to be more fun. It's going to be like the first Ant-Man was. First
Yeah.
Ant-Man was fun. It was a fun movie that had a little bit of serious, but it was a lot more fun and lighthearted. Um,
Yeah, that's what was so frustrating about the third one. It was just
oh,
so big in scale. Like I don't need Ant-Man. I need a break from the huge in scale movies. Like we just got the Multiverse of Madness before that, and Wakanda was smaller scale, Wakanda Forever, but it was still a big movie.
yes.
You need that like palate cleanser every couple movies to come through, and I think the Marvels will be a good one for that because I already forget what we get next. I feel like it's the Thunderbolts or something else is in there, but
I don't know. I'll look
There
that up.
was Blade, but Blade went away. So,
Right.
oh, it's well, yeah, because we get Guardians and then we get Marvels, and I don't think Guardians is going to be happy go lucky. I think the comedy is going to be fine.
Right.
I
But
don't,
it's
you
gonna.
know,
I think it's gonna end on a down.
yeah, yeah, and I don't look. I feel differently about Chris Pratt than I did the last Guardians movie, so I
Fair,
don't know if his jokes will hit the same way
fair
because
enough.
I feel like his acting has gotten worse every movie that he's been in.
Speaking of dark, you'll like this quote. Um, Zack Snyder, my favorite director.
Yeah,
He was asked. He was talking to someone about something, and he was asked about um, Justice League, and he said, "This is the quote that he said that he got from the studio. I'll be honest that when the script, what happened with Justice League is we had the original script was much darker and weirder. And then when the Batman vs. Superman came out, the studio was like, it's not funny enough. People want funnier movies, they want funny stuff in it. So they did go back and we did lighten the Justice League movie overall. Now, there also was a deleted Batman, well, Bruce Wayne, Lois Lane, Clark Kent love triangle from Batman versus Superman that was kind of pushed away that was
good.
supposed to happen. But he's saying that they lightened the Justice League movie, and I don't mean visual effects, but they lightened the tone of the movie. I can't imagine how much damn darker that movie could have been for them to say that they have lightened it. Like, take the Josh Whedon jokes out of it.
Yeah.
It was still a really dark movie.
Yeah. Look,
Like,
Snyder's not the comedic genius, even though Army of the Dead had a lot of comedy in it, but it was
right.
kind of forced on you.
Yeah.
It wasn't none of it was like natural. I think that's what they were looking for. Like a lot of the Marvel stuff, because of the actors they cast, felt natural.
Right. Right. Um,
And I think the entire cast, besides Moa, who's not really funny per se, but just like hey, like just a bro kind of hang out kind of vibe.
right.
Affleck is funny, but in a like makes you think and laugh kind of way,
Right.
not like in a comedic way. You know what I mean? So
Love him in the Dunkin' Donuts
I
commercials.
don't know that they had the right as like, but he's still like the straight man,
Yes.
right? Like
Yes.
that's his kind of humor when he pulls it off. So I don't think they had the right cast to make it lighter and
No.
pull it off right.
No. And the final little thing I have on DC is I saw this article and I thought it was really funny and I wanted to I wanted to throw it at you. This is the Flash season 9 is running out of time to explain 3 mysteries. Just 3?
Oh, only 3? Cool. Which
Well,
one? Which ones do they think?
so the 3 they have here is the season 8 cliffhanger with Godspeed.
Oh, I totally. Oh yeah. Yeah, with
And
the
then
Cobalt Blue.
and then the other 2 are what are Keone's powers and what is Keone?
She's that's the other 2 mysteries.
That's what this article said that the only 3 mysteries
Oh my
were.
god, there's so many other mysteries
There's
left.
so much more left to
I mean, and they've already kind of explained Keone is whatever she needs to be in that episode. Is just how they're going to do it. She's
She's
just the MacGuffin,
she's
where
the
they don't care. She's
she's
whatever
an
whatever she needs to be. She's going to be this episode
she's an Infinity Stone.
because we don't know, so we
Yeah.
don't care, and we're just going to run Danielle Panabaker into the ground is our goal.
Unfortunately. All right. I made a little banner for the John.
Cool. I mean, look, we got a lot of there's 2 episodes we got to talk through
We do.
because as we spoke earlier, where's your banner? I'm waiting.
That's right down to the banner. Boom. Boom.
Because as we spoke, oh, it's so tiny.
I
As we spoke earlier, so we'll hit episode 7 first,
yes. So
which I vaguely remember. But
if you the listeners, oh, there's my dog. If you the listeners, that was terrifying. If you the listeners have not seen the last 2 episodes of The Mandalorian, or if you hate The Mandalorian now and don't feel like listening, Pete, it's okay to pause the podcast and then come back about the 40-minute mark and listen to the last 2 episodes and of the season.
So I think we said earlier this episode, our conversation that we would have had yesterday
Yes.
was very different
Yeah.
than the I expected to have a very different conversation about the episode 7 and the finale than the conversation we are about to have.
Yes. What did you so what you remember from 7?
So I mean, look, 7 I thought had some interesting setups, right? We're going back to Mandalore. It was a short episode too, I think, if I remember right. Is it all right? We're going back to Mandalore. Let's pick who's going. Okay, and then so everybody decides to go. Great. I feel like the number fluctuated depending on what story arc they needed in the last 2 episodes.
Yes.
Every scene, like there was 20 going, then there was 50 up in the spaceship, then there was only 10 that went down to the ground. But yeah, whatever. Um, and then I guess the ones that they saved in episode 7 were fine now, and we're jetpacking in with them in episode 8. Um, but I thought 7 was cool. I feel like the Paz Vizsla's is Paz Vizsla, right?
It's Paz Vizsla.
His sacrifice in episode 7, I feel like was wasted.
Yeah. So I was
And didn't have the payoff. But episode 7 set us up for all of these twists. Like, oh my god, Moff Gideon knows so much. He has a spy, and I can't wait to see who the spy is. And oh my god, I think they're going to actually kill Din off. Great. We'll see some traction here. It is going to be Bo-Katan's going to be the Mandalorian now, or whoever. I was convinced that Aces or Wax, whatever his name is, Axes,
Axis. So
was going to be a traitor, and that he was the one that was doing it. Maybe it was the armorer.
the fun part of this episode happened near the beginning when the little what the
Oh
hell
yeah.
the little guy's
The
name?
Babu Fricks.
The little Babu Frick guy came in with the IG-12, right?
Yeah.
It was the IG-12 body, but the little Babu Frick guy was like sitting and controlling it like a little car, right? Like, and walked into Grief Karga's office and jumped out. And as he's walking by the baby, there's a big debate about this online. Like, there's a huge debate about this online. As he's kind of side walking, he turns to the side and walks past Grogu, who's like sauntering over to the robot now. The little Babu Frick guy's going, no baby, bad baby, no squeezing. And as he gets past Grogu, everybody in the world swears that this little thing says, I'm out, motherfucker. I can't see that.
He definitely didn't.
Right. I can't. Maybe I'm out of here or something like that. But there's no way Disney let motherfucker go and not have let Samuel Jackson say it in a movie. No way.
Yeah, I meant to go back and watch that, and I didn't get the chance.
It's cute.
I mean, that's another one, like the IG-12 thing. Like, I don't know why we went that route for him. Like, his thing was cool.
Yeah, and I think it's because he protected Grogu earlier in the season, in what, season 2, season 1?
End of season 1.
And it's always
He tried to kill. Let's not forget, he tried to kill Grogu for the first 7 episodes of season 1,
right.
and was a good guy for like 7 minutes in episode 8.
But so
They wanted to give Taika a paycheck again, so they brought him back.
Grogu gets in the thing and is walking around the office and hitting a no button. There's a no and a yes button, and that plays some fun. And they do a little walk through the marketplace with it, and it's kind of little fun, and it plays into the finale a lot too. But it's almost like a body for Grogu to walk around in episode 7. And gets in between 2 Mandalorians that are about to fight each other, or actually about to kill each other after fighting.
Yeah, those are the things that like play back into like, okay, well, he could have done that in his little hover thing with the Force.
Sure, he could have,
because his Force powers come and go as convenient for the plot.
Well,
which is kind of a Star Wars issue in general now.
I agree with that. I enjoyed that. Then we had the Shadow Council meeting, which was really cool.
So you remember episode 7 better than I do, or you're reading something.
I'm reading and remembering.
Scott does have a good point there in chat, though. Din's first experience of what it's really like having a kid, versus no. Well, Taika's voice, because why not?
Well, of course. So it's the Shadow Council is made up of Admiral Thrawn's right hand man from the books, which, from what I understand, is a spot on casting of how that character was drawn in the books, right?
Yeah,
And
well,
from the
explained, yeah.
cartoon, right? It was what's his name's father?
Dominic Leon's well, it was, that wasn't his name in the it's the actor, but not in the
Hux.
movies, yeah. Hux,
General
yeah,
Hux's
Huxley,
father, who played by that actor's Domo Gleason's brother,
right.
right? And it was a shadow council of basically just showing that there's remnants of the empire all throughout the galaxy still, and they're basically showing you the beginning of the First Order, and that was kind of cool. And we get the return of Moff Gideon.
Yeah, look, there was some really cool stuff set up in there, and we get, Imperial whatever with the Praetorian Guards,
The Praetorian Guard show up. Um, the
right? We
secret
get this
thing.
fleet that he's getting, like, we get all this super cool stuff that apparently this Shadow Council is, like, months ago, I guess? I don't know, weeks
I
ago?
yeah. I mean,
Time's funny, you know?
so what we find out by the end of this episode is that Moff Gideon has been using Mandalore as a base and has been mining the Beskar and outfitting troopers in Beskar and making weapons out of Beskar, which weapons aren't usually made out of Beskar, just the armor is.
Well, we had
And
a Beskar spear in season 2.
right. And he himself is outfitted in Mandalorian armor with little spikes on his helmet. Okay. And there's the big dangling of the dangling of the carrot, right? And the episode ends with Din getting captured and Paz Vizsla making this epic sacrifice fighting 3 Praetorian guards, and the rest of the Mandalorians are running away, and he makes this sacrifice of, he the fight lasts a little bit longer and they finally take him out.
Yeah, I mean, he took out, like, 30 Imperial I don't know how endless Moff Gideon's guard was, which is also a weird, point
Yeah.
in here. Um, and then yeah, and the Praetorian Guards come through and do everything. What I thought was weird with that point, as wearers of Beskar armor, as the Mandalorians have been,
Mhm.
why would you engage in just a blaster fight with other people in Beskar armor when you know blasters don't penetrate? Oh,
Well,
see,
that's
there goes McGinty right there.
no, and he's
Jack
right
coming at me.
because they did do that, and it seemed like sometimes the closer you are with the blaster, the more damage it does, but sometimes the further it didn't
Or when they were closer, is it easier to hit the seams, as
maybe
Jack just
it's
pointed
easier
out in chat.
maybe it's easier to hit the seams. It didn't seem consistent, and those guards seemed really well trained using this armor and the flamethrowers and jumping around and using the
Yeah,
ropes.
because who knew that everybody in Beskar armor now gets a flamethrower attached to their hand?
Well, that's Moff Gideon knows that. Look, I'll give him that. Moff Gideon knows the history of Mandalore and would probably have
Yeah,
said
which we still never really got. Like, I would have loved like 5 minutes of
of
Moff Gideon. Like,
backstory in this.
tell me, why does he give a shit about Mandalore? That's never been explained, really.
It hasn't. So
Why he's obsessed with it? Like, was he Mandalorian? Where's he from? Why
so
is he important enough to spoilers for the next episode, which we already said we're gonna have, clone himself 50
well,
times?
so that's
And
it.
are all these troopers clones of him already? I don't,
The episode 7 was titled "The Spies," right?
right.
Right. So they they again dangled the carrot. The armorer took the refugees in the ship and flew up.
Right, and they
That
introduced all these refugees that, like, are they the spies? Are they
right.
good guys? Are they
So you
bad
have a
guys?
bunch of refugees living on the planet. You have the armorer who has horns on her helmet, same as Moff Gideon's horns, flies away, and then you have that dude Axe flies up to
Right.
go to the
I'll
capital
go
ship.
warn everybody.
Right. So now you have 2 Mandalorians going different ways. So you're like, okay, somebody here is the spy, right? So the finale has Din captured. Axe is not the spy because he goes up to their capital ship and has all the Mandalorians go down to reinforce Bo Katan. The armorer drops off the refugees and comes back with all of the Mandalorians that were up in the capital ship.
Yep.
So Axis isn't the spy at this point. The armorer isn't the spy at this point. They never answered who the spy was at all.
No, episode 7 left us so ready for all these great reveals.
And had we not seen the show Monday, we would have dug in deep on which one of those two was the spy, and I would have leaned towards the armorer. I totally would have.
I would have gone for Waxes.
Right. And here, so Grogu rescues Din in his IG-12 suit.
Right. Well, Din starts to escape anyway. Like Din's
Right.
fighting the guards in the hallway, and
Right.
just before,
and then you have Grogu on the light fixtures doing force flips.
later on. So yeah,
guards.
so he rescues him, and then
Oh,
then Din's like, all right, let's go take out Moff Gideon ourselves.
right, just the two of you.
Okay.
Um,
Meanwhile, Bo-Katan runs. It's like
well,
with the people, and they go and they escape to regroup.
they escaped and regrouped, and then they had a big look. The fight scenes were great. Okay, the fight scenes were really, really good in this whole thing.
Great, yeah, 100%. Like not bashing the battles or the fight scenes at all in this finale. They were all great. They were big. I think they would have played better on the big screen
I
than on the
agreed.
small screens.
I did look by the end of the episode. I kind of felt like is that it? Like, where's the tugging at the heartstrings that I heard about? Where's the like? I enjoyed the episode.
I think they thought that you would care about Din Grogu way more than you did.
And that was cute, and I enjoyed that. But
Sure.
But so back to the story. You see all the clones of Moff Gideon, okay? All the clones, and then he does explain what he was trying to do with the clones. He had wanted Grogu in season 1 because he was trying to or he was close to getting the ability to make his clones force sensitive, because that's a thing, which we later learn is a thing because of Snoke, right?
Right.
And
So is Snoke a Moff Gideon clone?
Well, no, because these clones looked like him, and my theory for what happened to Moff Gideon at the end was that's not the real Moff Gideon. That you have not seen the real Moff Gideon yet. That Moff Gideon is not dead, or that was the real Moff Gideon and one of the clones survived. Grogu and Din destroy all the clones in the pods.
It's super easy.
Way easier than it just break the glass.
And one, and they all break.
And then
and this goes back to again. This goes back to again where the force is that, and even when you were talking earlier, right? So like when, no, we're not there yet. We're almost there
to that.
Yeah.
Where so he gets R5, was it R5, right? The robot has his hero, another hero moment where he's opening the doors for him one by one by one. And he's fighting the two Beskar plated guards 2 at a time, and he's kicking the shit out of them after he just lost to 3 of them.
Right.
3 is too many, 2 is just enough. And then when they get into the next room, that's when the Praetorian guards come out into the command center, and Grogu's doing.
Yeah, and Grogu immediately gets out of the IG-12 armor that was great before.
Yes. Well, it got destroyed. The Praetorian guards destroyed the armor.
Yeah.
The robot. And then he's up flipping around on the lights the whole time, waiting for Din to get there.
Right, because apparently his force powers don't work unless it's just helping Din.
Yeah.
Because, right. It's my problem with these shows. Like, if you're gonna give somebody crazy cool powers, just let them use the goddamn powers.
Yeah,
don't be like, oh well, they can only use them if they have to heal somebody, but not to fight somebody unless they're helping somebody else fight them. Because then, as soon as Din was there, he's using all sorts. He's pulling them, pushing them, flipping them around, taking weapons, like all sorts of stuff. That you're like, why didn't you just do that already?
Right. And then when he's fighting Gideon, there's the use of the force powers there. So Gideon and Din start fighting out. Well, actually, yeah, Gideon and Din start fighting.
Yeah, in parallel to when we had, you know, the the main cruisers or main starships being sunk or
Right. So Axe
whatever, and
nosedives the capital ship into the base.
Bo comes back with that crazy cool battle because everybody gets a jetpack. You get a jetpack, and you
Yes.
get a jetpack,
At
and
least they showed Din taking the jetpack from
right.
the stormtrooper,
So we get so we get that on parallel. So then Bo comes to save Din.
with the dark saber.
Right.
So she's fighting Gideon, who pulls out like a Praetorian staff kind of a thing, and then has this really cool fight up until a certain point. This is another problem I had.
Yeah.
So he made a comment earlier that these are dark troopers, but better. So that's where the strength is coming from, right? Because the armor is giving them a little bit more than normal strength. So when Bo and him are fighting, she comes down with an overhand swing at one point, and Gideon grabs her hand and crushes the dark saber
Yeah. It
in
was
her
so
hand.
weird and made no sense.
Look, if that's your way of getting rid of this uberly powerful weapon, that's a cop out.
You look, and honestly, there's lightsabers all over the damn place. Have you watched the other stuff?
Yes.
What did they do with all the lightsabers the Empire got from Order 66? We don't know.
Actually, there's a comic that shows them being destroyed.
Well, that was dumb.
Right.
Right? Like,
But-
why would you outfit everybody with them?
That was a problem I had. And then I get, the whole, oh, you don't have the dark saber, you're not strong enough without your trinkets. And then she does the whole we're stronger together. And that, okay, cool, we're stronger together. But look, man, I have a dark saber light over here. I mean, I could have given that to you. And yes, the armor was enhanced, and that's fine. I get that, but you just crush this centuries old weapon.
Yeah, this legendary saber that's
like the most legendary thing in the history of Mandalore. I don't know.
in that moment, and like so many other moments that we've talked about from last episode and this episode, like it felt cheap.
It did feel cheap. That part felt cheap.
That's what was disappointing about it. Like and in the chat, guys stepping in with Pete, like the armor was enhanced like a mech.
I don't
Jack with the mighty darksaber that you can break by stepping on it, and Dylan darksaber is paperweights.
I don't think the armor is going to repair the dark saber.
No, I think the darksaber is done.
No, so and then we get
Well, it should be because then the ship crashed.
The ship crashed, and Gideon stood there and got engulfed in flames, and Bo and Din both went to shield Grogu, and Bo put up.
I was like, did you really put up this tiny little shield to shield all three of you? Okay.
I knew what was going to happen.
Right, because when convenient,
when
force powers are the shit.
Now, this was the same type of power that Kanan showed, holding back the flames when Kanan died.
Yes.
But Grogu held on long enough, and this time, maybe because Luke trained him for 2 years, he just sat back after exerting himself. He didn't pass out like he had in the past.
Right.
So Grogu holds back the flames, and they survive. Then we cut to all the Mandalorians in front of the forge, and Bo-Katan lights the forge, and
happy ever after. The Mandalorian's back to them, and they're good because they also learned that Mandalore can grow all of its crops and plants back, and they're good because they'll grow into the stone on the surface.
Correct, because if they're given space, they can grow.
Yep.
No innuendo there.
Happy ending. No need to do anything else with that. We'll just write that out, and good. They're done.
No,
they don't need a follow-up movie. Great.
And then they baptize Paz Vizsla's son in the waters of the forge, or whatever. Make him say the
waters of the Mandalore. Yeah.
And then Grogu becomes Din Grogu, and
because Din's like, I want him to move up, and he's like, no,
he can't talk. Well, I sponsor him Well, only a parent can sponsor him. Then I adopt him. Okay, done. Like that's it.
Wait,
No
like that?
paperwork.
What?
No paperwork. No court system. What? No, no, no. But like
Yeah, yeah. That was
it was
again. It felt cheap.
it did feel cheap. It felt very cheap.
And by the way,
I
Jack, yes, Andor is greater than Mandalorian,
I
100%.
do agree that Andor, like Jack's, yes, Jack said Andor over Mandalorian. This season, absolutely for sure.
But
Um,
yeah, like the adoption thing again, like it felt like, oh god, all right, we only have so many scenes left we can shoot. Let's get through this. Like it was so quick,
it
all
felt
of the
rushed.
wrap up.
It
Yeah,
felt
like,
rushed. And then the very, very end
and how
has
does Grogu not get a helmet?
like you have to have one crafted. Plus, he
They
hasn't
they have a
spoken yet.
big fire, a big
But he
forge.
hasn't spoken yet. He hasn't spoken yet. He did say thank you.
I thought we bypassed the spoken thing though
No, no,
by
no.
Din saying, "Hey, he's now."
You cannot put a helmet on baby on Grogu because then you can't sell toys yet. You have to wait till season 4 to put him in a helmet. Then you sell
Mm.
more toys.
Season 4 is already written. Don't worry.
Right. So then we get then we get the cheer, Forz is lit. Here we go. We're gonna live forever. Then Din goes back to the New Republic base,
Yes.
where Dave Filoni doesn't hide his cameo this time. He
No, and
falls out right there in the middle of the scene.
they're all still there. It was all the same people.
It was Peter Ramsey and Dave Filoni in that episode,
Rick Fuki, I feel like he was there
and
too.
I think Rick's there too. Yes. Um. So
I mean, I'm sure they shot that the same day they shot the other
absolutely,
cantina scene.
absolutely. So he goes and he has the chat with what's his name, the pilot.
Kim's Convenience Store owner. Yeah.
Yeah, that he wants to be a bounty hunter again, but he only wants to pick and choose his contracts, and he wants to be a good guy basically and hunt down Imperial remnants. Then he goes back to Navarro and he gets a plot of land from
Well,
Grief
hold on.
Karga.
And they find IG-12. He's like, oh, you have an IG head.
Right,
How
right,
convenient. Let me
right.
take that with me. That's my payment that I want.
That's all I want. And then he goes back to Navarro. Then he gets the plot of land from Grief Karga, has his little cabin. But before that, Taika Waititi gets another paycheck because out comes IG-11 again,
Right.
fully
Back as
redone,
IG-11.
fully redone, reprogrammed. He's now the Marshal of Navarro.
Right.
That's not going to end bad.
No.
I wish it would.
I mean,
wish he
maybe.
would have just spun his head around and just started shooting people. That would have been a satisfying ending.
So yeah,
End of that cliffhanger.
so Story Navarro tied up, done, good to go. Don't need anybody from there anymore. And now Din Grogu are just
It's
chilling.
Din Grogu.
Yeah, Din and Din Grogu.
Oh,
Din Djarin and Din Grogu. Is that better?
yes.
So I guess Djarin and Grogu is Djarin his first name?
So the way I was reading this is that because Din didn't grow up on Mandalore where he grew up, their surnames might be their first name, and that's why he was not Grogu Djarin. Plus, that also sounds awful. Din Grogu sounds a little bit better. Rolls off the tongue easier, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, we had Boba and Jango Fett, so it's weird.
Right. Well, that's what people were saying is the Fett is a Mandalorian name, and Din might be from where he comes from or whatever.
Got it.
It was.
Well,
it
Jango Fett wasn't a Mandalorian though.
Oh, well,
He had Mandalorian armor, but he was not from Mandalore.
okay.
But the Katans, it was Bo-Katan
Satine-
Kryze and her sister was something Kryze.
Satine Kryze.
Yeah, so they were both. So I don't know if that holds up,
Oh.
but maybe. Yeah, and then we're good, and that's it, and we're done, and everybody's
So,
happy. Everything's good. Bye.
I give it a 7, and I only give it a 7 because of the battles. If it wasn't for the battles, it would be a 4.
Yeah, I feel like if I would watch the battles on a not like a big screen TV, like the big screen, they
Yeah.
would have been cool.
Yes.
On a TV, they were fine. I also, you know what else happened this episode for me? It was the first episode in any of these where some of the effects felt cheap.
A little
Like
bit.
I could tell they were on a stage, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like I haven't had that feeling with any of these shows, but I could start to see the seams a little bit of the volume or the sound or whatever it's called, and their practical effects. They started to show.
I wonder if this was rushed because this has been done for a while, right?
Yeah, like a year since it was filmed.
So, and then we're not going to get 4 for probably till sometime next year either.
Year after. It's late
25?
enough. Yeah, I don't think.
Depends
Um,
on when they shoot. Because there were so
I mean, they
many.
have a lot of shows coming out between, right? We're not getting Andor until August of 2024.
So yeah, this might be 25. There were
Was that
so
right? Was
many.
that yeah? August. They're gonna rush Andor and get it August
It's
2024.
just there
You're
were
right.
so many theories, and they went back. Somebody went back and pointed out real fast that episode 7 of the first 2 seasons featured a major death. Episode 7 of the first one was the death of Gary Busey.
Yeah. Nick
Episode
Nolte.
7,
Nick
huh?
Nolte. Nick
Nick
Nolte.
Nolte, sorry.
Wow.
Wow, same person. The last season 2 was somebody important too. I forget. I just had it on the tip of my tongue and I forget.
Cara Dune.
No, she's alive.
I don't know who died last season, but that was right before Luke showed up.
Yes.
I have no idea who died last
Somebody
season.
died. And then this season was Paz Vizsla.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I look,
That's their
I think
death
my
episode.
I think my problem is we didn't get enough backstory on any of the stuff. Like that was my like I wanted more of the story and less of the action, I guess.
Yes.
And that's just me being older and I'm not blown away by action scenes anymore, right? Like I like why is Moff Gideon doing this? You know, because we've you know, if an hour and a half movie that you get for some reason in an hour and a half movie, you get more story development than you get in 8 episodes of The Mandalorian. You know, because this could have easily been an hour and a half, 2-hour movie with the amount of
Oh,
story that
it
we
was
got this season. Like,
Miggs Mayfield. Bill Burr. Bill Burr died.
did he? I didn't
Yeah.
think he died.
Apparently. Anyway,
Huh.
but no, and I agree. I would have liked to have more story.
I think,
than any-
yeah. The other thing from this season that was really disappointing though was like we spent a whole episode for no reason setting up that the clone guy and the character and like when was it? How long ago was this? Is this why we said it was two episodes? Yeah, I didn't think Mick died, Pete. Um, we had
Okay.
that full episode where we saw the doctor and the cloning tech, and we had to find this stuff, and like that doesn't play into it anywhere really, unless
No,
it's been forever. It's you know, it feels like it's been like a couple weeks in story time,
yeah,
and then we get you know, and he's already built these clones and gotten the tech and all this kind of stuff, and like
this was
I
definitely more of a letdown. Like yeah, I guess letdown's a good word because I expected so much more. When I saw it was only 35 minutes, I was like, "Oh, man.
right, and we got all that Shadow Council set up, and then like nothing more on that.
You're
Like
gonna get that in Ahsoka." That's
I
all.
know that's the thing. There's like all these like little setups
I
for
I
other things.
I would have loved a Thrawn cameo at the end here to kind of set up Ahsoka maybe, because this is all gonna culminate in a movie.
Yeah,
Ahsoka,
at least
the
a
next
post
Mandalorian season, and then they're gonna have a movie to kind of finish it
at
all off.
least a post credit scene. Give me a post credit scene.
I mean, maybe the movie will be 45 minutes. At this point,
Yeah,
the Doctor is not dead. Doctor Pershing, I do not believe Doctor.
he's not dead. He just is
His mind was wiped.
maybe
Maybe.
we don't know. We don't know how what effect it had on him, and you know maybe
No,
you can
and it's
reverse it. I mean, let's be honest. The fact that they're still using just like old school electroshock therapy,
basically.
which we did see in Andor, done a little different, right? They use screams. These guys are just like, we're just gonna shock your brain and make you free. What?
So we
Well,
have
like-
Ahsoka what in a few months, right?
June, I think.
June. Okay.
Yes.
So we have next week. We have the finale of Picard, series finale of Picard, season finale of Ted Lasso next week. No, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. And you are
I'll be back May 1st, so we will see you the week of probably some more Star Wars announcements will come out later that week.
yes.
I probably won't be watching a whole lot of stuff other than on planes, so we'll see what I can find that's cool to watch and
Yeah.
talk about. I'm sure some news will drop. James Gunn's dropped actually a bunch of news about stuff in the last week. We didn't even get to the Creature Commandos lineup, so we'll have to talk about that.
So
and
we're gonna
that whole cast soon.
We're gonna take next week off, and we'll be back May 1st.
Yep.
unless we decide to push it to May
As we get
4th,
through our
maybe?
last 4 episodes before we hit episode 100. So
Should
excited for that. We'll come up with some good plans for that. But thanks
Yes.
everybody for finding the Geek Spot with us as always. Tell a friend, join the conversation. If you joined late, you can always catch the whole thing anywhere you catch your podcasts, or go back on YouTube, subscribe, and watch the video.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Good night.